Hello. Shit, yes. Now I am audible, but I guess from a single side. And yep, now I'm better audible. Shit, that was bad. So today is 17th of March 2026, Tuesday. And before beginning, a quote from Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Let's see. Okay, this one. This says, if gods care not for me and for my children, there is a reason for it. Shit, that can be interpreted as if something bad is happening to you, there might be a reason behind it, which does include God and like the mystic things which I guess are necessary to live, even though they might not be true. But apart from that, cool. We have to complete this thing today. I have already spent like more than a month on this. I would like to finish this now, which would be cool. Okay, what I want to do is just like finish this up. Not Lolita, localhost. Start a one thing there. Open 00 password at the rate 123 is the password. Let's start a game here and look at this. There is this time. Time is there. You can see the time going out, and you can flip the board. And shit, you do not see the name of the other player after you flip the board, or you just don't see the name of the other player in this side. I guess why is that? That is because the name of the other player, yeah, it makes so much sense. I think it is because the name of the other player is in memory variable, and on this side I just logged in, and after login we do get the name of the person who logged in, and it is stored in the in-memory variable. But here we started a new session even though the token was there already in the local storage. The name got removed from the memory because it is like in-memory variable. Shit, screen is, that is correct, screen is somehow not visible. Okay, how about now? Yep, shit, my bad, sorry about that, but cool, now it is visible. Cool. So here you can even see the name of the players who are playing the game. Cool. And you can play a move, and you see that the same time is shown for the, like, yeah, the times are synced with each other, which is pretty cool. Like, that is cool. But shit, we do not see this. We do not see the name of this person here, and the reason for that is we have to send. Yep, cool. Daily code hub. Shit, you also code daily, it seems. That is pretty cool. The reason for that is we have to send whenever front end starts. If the user is logged in, then we should send get info, some API call to the backend to get some information about the player, about the person who is logged in using the token. Because if the person is already logged in, the token is the only thing that the front end has access to from local storage. That is cool. And this request is already made on each page load. Like here, network user get user info. This request is made on each page whenever whenever we redirect to a page or a page reloads. This request is sent every time to and make sure that the user is logged in, and only a logged in user can go to a page which says start a game. So cool. After this, we just have to make sure we also set the username like this. We get the set username from like the user state, and we get the token. After getting the token, await Yeah, cool. Restore data as this. As this, I don't think we should do this as is fine, as is fine. We can here say restore data dot user, and now we should be happy. Yep, reload the side, and this I can like reload multiple times or start on a new page. You closed, start, finding an opponent here, and if I say I want to play as black, I would play as black, and I still do not see my name. Shit. Even though set username was called here. Log restore data. We should see restore data here. And this, by the way, is like a far better thing we have got. Okay, the other username is undefined, which is a bit sad. Hmm. It is undefined. It is undefined. And also it is undefined because we do not see this restore data being called. This should be called on each page. Let's say on home page. This thing that we are calling navigate based on login, this function is running, and this function internally calls is user logged in, which internally calls get user info, which should set the username of the current user if the user is like cool and all. So if we were to like, okay, that is messed up. The connection is lost. The game was stored on the database, right? The game was stored on the database, but this user has like no idea what happened. Hmm. So there are some game testing has to be done. Test play. Yep, still no name. This reload should mean that the use effect should be working. The function inside use effect should be working inside home. This thing should be working. Connection. Navigation based on logic. Log. Hello. Okay, why is this messed up? Because this is not at a valid place. Yeah, cool. Okay, refresh. Now we do see that the game is over. This is cool. Let's say we want this person to be white. Cool, and we do not see the name, but do we see the hello? We do not. Nope, we do not see the hello, and the other username is undefined. Why is it not getting set? Console.log hello. Okay, let's see. We should see hello here. Yep. And we do see hello, but we do not see the name, which is okay, which is helpful. Navigate based on login, and we check this thing and we call the navigate function. Which does this. Okay, console log user, and cool, refresh. We do not see the user logged in. We do see the user logged in, but the user is empty, so we don't see anything. Hello, Dom DAK. Rahul, why do you say P? Shit. 11k yesterday? What do you mean 11? You won 11k yesterday? You lost in gambling 11,000 rupees. User is empty, which means user is null, which means shit. Contest share. Okay, your rank was 11k. Courses.com. I mean, you can, I guess, call it a gamble. Yesterday was education round. Education rounds are crazy. 2 hour 15 minutes. Shit. And how many people were solving stuff? 14,000, 12,000. Shit, there is not a lot of difference in like first three problems. There was some correction in B, D, and a general announcement. We are experiencing hardware issues on one of our servers. The round has been extended by 15 minutes. Shit, you got a bonus. 15 minutes bonus. Let's go. Yeah, just like keep at it. You will get cool. User is null somehow. Which means shit. It get user info token. If no token, then okay. And is there a token? I knew the logic. Okay, that is cool. I spent unnecessary amount of time on B. That happens. That like happens. That is one of the most normal things that can happen. Is spending more time on a problem that you do know exactly what to do. Delete. And okay. Yes, that is very normal. You will go out in complicated ways. Console.log. We should be getting the token. Yes, we are getting the token. It is right here. Console.log res.date res log res. We do see some stuff. Data is empty, which is messed up. Data is empty. Shit. Status 200. Okay. Data is empty. Data is empty. Data. User.me. This thing is giving empty. It is not saying anything. Huh? I got tired at problem C, so only did A and B, then quit 9 problems solved in past 2 days. Okay, way to go. Yes, you'll increase your stamina over time. And yes, I am also trying to increase my stamina. What I want to do is increase the stream time from 3 hours to 5 hours. Hopefully, that would be pretty cool. Spending more and more time on this thing. Okay, res is empty. This is messed up. Res is empty. Why is res empty? Why is res empty? Backend APIs, we have this user info API, which just like legit returns this and nothing else. So we should be getting this on the front end, but we are not getting this on the front end. We are console.log data, and data is username, user.username, and user ID, user.user ID. And it would be very cool to make a terminal based front end for this. The class. Shit, why are you not in college? It is 11. It is like 12 o'clock. Should go to college. Okay, whenever I reload this, I do see the response where data is empty, but I do not see anything being printed on the backend, which I should be seeing. User info, this thing should be there. Slash use. I guess. Shit. That might be the problem. Binding element user implicitly has type any. That is fine. Why do you complain now? Okay, it just complains if I add one more slash here. Okay, on one more slash, it complains. That is messed up. I guess there was a way create user Elysia, new Elysia access, and add this stuff on top of access and create access like so. Okay, shit, access already has the prefix of user, so this thing has to be built on top of access, not auth plugin. And what auth plugin does is just does some authorization. APIs router. We create a new Elysia object. Okay, why are we not? Where are we using auth plugin? Yeah, this thing does not. Error plugin to handle error whenever we throw an error inside a request. This thing handles that. Auth plugin is built on top of error plugin and is exporting auth plugin. And where else is auth plugin being used? Auth plugin is being used here on top of this game create plugin. Cool. Shit. Cool. On top of game create plugin. So, yep, it is extremely right to do this like this. Yep. And then export. Or maybe you could use here. Import Elysia from Elysia. Prefix user info dot use auth plugin, right? And then dot get request on slash me return username user name. Property user does not exist on type this, but we are using this auth plugin which should add all that stuff. Shit, that is crazy. Okay, we need to ask ChatGPT about a few important things, or Claude. I guess Claude would be better. I'm using Elysia for backend in Node on Bun.js. We cannot use Elysia with Node in Bun. Shit, okay, that was not the whole thing. Yep. Shit, this is cool. When I clicked do not respond to this text came here automatically. Cool. I'm using Elysia for backend, and I have an Elysia object which I am using as a plugin, and I want to add that object is heading properties to the context which I want to be accessible by other instances of Elysia. So should I create the new instances and use dot use on them with the plugin? That is one thing we could do. Or the second thing is, or import the plugin and add my method on top of it, and yeah, use that. There are two things. Yep, let's see which one is better. The use is the recommended one. Okay, let's say we have a plugin like this which does some derive decorate stuff. Okay, then dot use and get, but we are not getting this thing like this. Decorate db is here. We are not getting this, even though we are calling derive. I guess we are not even calling derive, we are calling it something else completely on the auth plugin. Dot resolve. I am using dot resolve to add things to the context, and I don't see the updated context on using the dot use. What does that mean? In the same instance. Okay, shit, that is a bit messed up. So option 1, define routes after dot resolve in the same chain. That is not very right. Or use as plugin to propagate. Resolve as plugin tells Alicia to expose this to the parent scope as plugin, and then use plugin. Cool. Or option 3, use decorate instead of value, but yeah, no. Okay, we can say as plugin, which is not right. As plugin is not right. As plugin after resolve tells Alicia to expose this thing to the parent as plugin. No, overall matches this call overload. Argument of type plugin is not assignable to parameter of global type. Hmm. Why does this not work? We could use decorate, config. Resolve works only with as plugins. Prerequisite TLDR, either use as plugin after you do resolve to propagate its parent scopes, or you or switch to derive, which behaves like resolves but propagates through use correctly. But derive messes stuff up when we do the return part. Decorate is there, or use derive. User. Okay, shit. Derive. I think we can use derive. Derive might just work. This thing built on top of auth plugin. Cool. Game start. This is also game create plugin built on top of game create plugin APIs, access and game run. Or we could just go back to how we were doing things here with dot resolve and stuff. VDR and derive. Auth plugin dot get slash user slash me slash user slash me. Yes, we should use derive in that case. Derive would also work. Let's see. Derive, and yep, here we will just again create a new Alicia plugin, but here we don't have to create a new Alicia plugin. We don't have to create a new Alicia plugin. We could use here. We could use here. Yeah, makes so much sense. New Alicia, create a new plugin and say use auth, not auth plugin, I guess. Game create plugin. New Alicia dot use cool, but still we are not getting the context, even though we are using use. It's messed up. We should be getting the context at least. Hello, can you show me what you built? And I'm new here. Hello, new person. This is what is happening. It has taken 31 days and does not look as good as it should be, I suppose, given the time. Look at this. There is time and stuff. You can play moves and only valid moves. Now you cannot play a move because it is other player's chance and stuff, and you cannot move pieces of the other player. Cool. And you can like do this flip the board however you like, and here also flip the board and do whatever you want, and then play a move which is shown to the other person. And here we have the backend running. Here backend says there was a move made by Walrus 137. Move is this, and then a move was made by Thorfinn. And these are the exact names which are being shown on the front end. One player is named Walrus, and the other is named Thorfinn. And you do not see the name of the current person of the person who is logged in. And the reason is there is no API call to fix it, which I am working on right now. And also the times are synced in. Look at this, 38-second, exact 38-second here, that is synced in. That is because whenever a move is made, the backend tells both the front ends what should be the new time that you should show on your front end. So that is pretty cool. Now I'm trying to like create a new API that the front end can hit to get information about the user. First of all, to get information about the user, and also to know if the user is logged in or not. Yeah, like two things. Derive returns stuff. Data.user.queue shit auth plugin dot, if we do new Elysia dot use auth plugin, we can import Elysia shit. Okay, yes, the same problem exists. We cannot use derive. Yeah, when we use derive, the context is not updated. What is the context? The context is when you get a request, what are the things that the handler function can expect to get. Like here, the handler function, this is the handler function for this request, for this middleware, and this is expecting three things: query, user, and status. And this user thing is not natively present, and it is added there by this plugin, auth plugin, which is like self-created plugin. Here it returns this user res thing and adds this user to the context which I want to be present. But it is not cool to use. It is not very cool to use the same thing and build new, and to make a plugin and import it everywhere and then use that and build your new methods on top of that plugin. It is not very cool to do that. Yep, it is not very cool to do that. It is not very cool to do that because when you import stuff, you are importing the same object. JavaScript does not copy your objects. But how do I get access to the same plugins? Resolve updates dot as auth plugin, as auth plugin. What does as do? As is this thing which is very cryptic to understand. What is as? Here, as syntax sugar for attaching lifecycle event name, right? As on event something, example on Alicia, on this, and shit, there is no as thing here. Let's see, ElisiaCH.com as derived as, no. Yep, the backend is messed up. The backend is, yeah, the backend is messed up. Backend is not very cool. The backend is messed up. See, the backend is quite messed up. Yes, okay. As documentation for as with plugins, G Sheet plugins. Let's see. Tool plugin. Okay. Uh, s- okay. State ads. We could use state, which is cool. I think not exactly state, but I think there is a method we can call on a plugin to update. Yeah, shit. I think we can do this. Store shit. Those would be added not to the context but to something called store. Okay, I think we can do this. We can do this instead of being stupid. We can do this. Auth plugin is create game plugin is built on top, which is a bit messed up. So here after this we can call dot data, I think, dot state, and see what the new state is. Shit, that makes more sense. And what do we say? The new state that we are adding is user, which is of type JWT plugin. I think we cannot give JWT payload as a value because it is only a type. Makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. It is only a type. We cannot use it as a value. Type object. No, type is object, but a very specific object. Type is JWT payload. Only refers to a type and is being used here as a value. Can we not use it as a type? We can do that, but only refers to a type. Is it like inherently refers to a type? Let's do say user name of type is string. String only refers to a type and cannot be used here. Username does not exist anywhere. Okay, what does this even mean? Type. Here, if we were to go here and say new LEG object and use auth plugin and do this, cool. We can here get dot store dot user is store dot user there. By the way, like, time is going to run out here on this, which is, and yes, the backend does not handle time run out. If you run out of time, your game just keeps on running. It's messed up, which should be fixed. It will be. The real problem here is to do stop store not use plug it in plugin state use. There was a way to add this dot guard. to add things to the context and also update the type of the context in Elysia, update type of context, extend context is what we could call it, using state, using decorate, derive, and resolve. We want this to be passable. Using state version 1, what is this 2? 1, all of them, at least A does return this. B returns this, C returns D, still okay. Okay, when to use it? Use when to share primitive mutable value across multiple routes. Reference and value. Okay. This can apply to store. Shit. Creating new variable on primitive value. The link is lost. Shit. When you go there, we get the old value. Crazy. Decorate, defined from previous line. Decorates the stuff. New logger, and new logger is a class. Decorate, we could use decorate to decorate. A new logger is a type, a function, which we can get here using this key that we have provided. Okay, I guess decorate would be cool in that case. Decorate will be cool in that case, not derive. Resolve, but why does resolve not work? Resolve should be working, and look at this. There have to be some changes made. This is negative, which is crazy, messed up. And maybe on the back end the game has ended. The game has not ended on the back end. Who is the white player? This guy. Cool. The game has not ended on the back end. This is crazy, even though time is 0. Derive doesn't handle type integrity. We want type integrity. We can use resolve. We can use resolve for type integrity. And then guard to pass it down. It is similar to derive but ensures type integrity. Resolve allows us to assign a new property to the context, which is exactly what we want. Resolve is called at before handle, cycle, or after validation, allowing us to resolve request properties safely. And then call the thing on this resolve method. Key takeaway: resolve is called at before and handler. The drawback is the methods that we apply to resolve have to be put on top of this itself. If we are going to use decorate, we might as well not use resolve, but use derive with decorate. Yes. This thing adds user whose value now whose value we are going to give. Derive, decorate. Shit, so what this could do is this thing could update a variable outside const or let user is of type JWT payload or undefined, and here we can say the value of this thing is user. See, this just feels very bad to do. Current user, and here instead of returning, a better thing would be to say current user equals res. And I guess now in game API plugin we do get user cannot find name Alicia, which you can find like that. Cool. User property is probably maybe undefined. That is fine. Wait, I'm getting call. Wait, user properties may be undefined. It is not undefined because we would actually throw an error if it were undefined. So it is not undefined. Data dot is user queue. If the user is in queue, and they are saying that the user might be undefined. User is not undefined as JWT payload. Conversion of type is string. This is user as JWT payload. But user ID. Okay, I guess now we can add a new API. Yep, here it is. Cool. Game start. Yep, here. Use game create. Shit, we should be getting all of this. User.data dot ws dot data dot user is there. What is the type? JWT payload. JWT payload. Shit, makes sense. After game API plugins, we have to update the user again. We have to use a decorate again to update this user state. This feels very hackish. Okay, so what I want is I have an Alicia instance which adds things to the context using resolve, and I want to use that updated context to handle other requests. My bad. The cleanest way to use is to use .derive instead of this. It does the same thing but propagates finally, but derive does not update the context. Added to the context. Derive does not add to nothing to the context. Dot derive. If I were to remove this, shit, maybe because this is adding to the context conditionally might be the problem. The conditional part might be the problem. Okay, so we can say let user be of type JWT payload or undefined, and at the end here user equals res dot date res and then return user. How about that? No, yeah, else just like throw an error, but at the end do this return. Cool. Hmm. Uh, this is working. Game API plugin. Okay, shit. Dot use is working. Dot use is giving the updated context. That is pretty cool. Okay, so I guess we should use dot derive here also. Not use this and add this thing here. Okay, shit. And derive is not giving the context. Nope, we are not getting the context, which was added after this thing. All the plugin user shit. Why is this not going to the context? Why is this not going to the context? User shit. Error plugin dot derive is returning something at the end. It is returning something at the end, but the context is not getting updated. If you must use dot resolve, yes, that was the problem, right? Dot derive does not update the context. Dot derive doesn't update the context, or it does. Dot derive does update the context but doesn't update the type checking system with TS. Yeah, fixes is to add as plugin or as scoped, propagates type to parent scope. Parent, the thing is named plugin actually. But this thing gives error. We cannot use this with as plugin. What does this thing even do as plugin? As scoped, propagates types one level. Let's see. Type propagation, something like that. Brewing. Okay, bro is actually thinking something. Competitive programming is like much simpler than this. I would much prefer competitive programming. But shit. Okay, this is what bro came up with. Dot this params. No, I do not want params. I want context. Derive doesn't handle type integrity, for which you might want to use resolve. But resolve does not propagate over. I want to use resolve, which doesn't propagate over dot use. How do I make it? Make it resolve the type and the context. How do I make it propagate types and the context to parents for resolve? DaVinci Resolve. Use as plugin, but what is this? What is this? Dot as local plugin on global. Okay. But as an Alicia method that changes the scope of the instance, it controls how far of the chain the context type slash type propagate when the plugin is consumed. A global, 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 global plugin dependency, kind of like that. Where is as being used? As global, yes. Shit, it is sent like this. I guess dot derive as is a field here. Global. Cool. Shit. Okay. And do the same thing with resolve and plugin. Plugin does not work. Okay. There were a few possible values. Local, scoped, or global. Let's say global, I guess. And with global, does this does work? Cool. Shit. Resolve here we can say as, okay, take that plot. Okay, what's user info? Now we can update the way that we were creating APIs. Yep, use this and yep, cool. Here import auth plugin, right? And const user info. Yep, user info, not a plugin. New Elysia, use auth plugin. Import Elysia. Not like this. This is fine. And then export this thing, and here APIs. After this, say use user info. Cool. So this thing should be cool. Here we can also say prefix. Prefix is slash user. Then slash me is fine, or user data instead of info seems much better of a name. Cool. Here the data user data here. Cool. Okay. Hello Kakashi, did you give yesterday's contest? Wait, I can like check. I don't have to ask. I can like stalk you. Your information. You are in my teams. Undefined void, probably. But you are online now. No. Should you have not given a contest in a while? Maybe unrated. Okay, let's go. This was yesterday. Yep, you did give yesterday. 5. That is Pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Why don't I see your rank? I should be able to like see your estimated rank and stuff. Wait, you went to specialist? Shit. Okay, when did that happen? You went. Okay, shit. That is cause of celebration. You have taken over me. You have. Shit. 1431. Shit. I didn't notice. You got stronger. Shit. Okay. 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 You are getting better. I have to pick up my game. Shit. You are a specialist. Shit. I didn't notice. My bad. You have been a specialist since February. Crazy. Hacking around. Hey, hacking is still going on. Contest. Final standings finished. And yep, rating changes are not there. 1000 is pretty cool. 1091. And shit, 4 questions, 4 problems in 15 minutes. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. In educational round. And then 1 hour for this one. So E must be very cool. Problem. Cool. Shit, you are doing cool. That's cool. APIs are or should be working. Log got here. Button back. Okay. One. First 3 were basic, more like Division 3. Okay. First 3. I guess we cannot say the same about 1085. It was much more difficult. Actually, much. Okay, apparently I'm not logged in here. The request never went there. Failed to reload. User slash me 500 internal server error is crazy. User slash me slash user slash me slash user slash me, which is being added to the API also. So, okay, it should be working. User data is the name of this API. Internal server errors is actually pretty crazy. Let's see where are we actually sending the request. Get user info log the route where we send the request console. The route is this localhost 2000 slash user slash me, which seems good enough. Seems good enough. Okay, let's log in. For pin 00. Password is very secret. Okay. We don't see anything here, and we see that Thorfinn did log in, so that request is going on to the backend. Could have done C faster, but it was C as in like problem number C, not the C programming language. C faster, but it was little confusing. I messed up in the equation. Shit. Educational round does have equations. Educational rounds can be cool. They're like pure mathematics sometimes, and they can be cool. They can sometimes trick a newcomer, but yeah, they are cool. They are cool. Shit. Internal server error, but like what? The server is running without any problem. Okay, the server is running without any problem. What does that indicate? Crimes indicate. Auth plugin is plugin working. User got token console.log. Hello, split it. Okay, refresh. Undefined token is undefined. Token is undefined, even though token is being sent by the front end. Probably, I guess. Yes, token is like right, legit here. Token is undefined somehow. Splitted is at least AUTHORIZATION. With, okay, here the A is capital and here the A is small. That is a little problematic. Shh. Hello. I can't see. Bro did like E. It was just calculation. Calc. ICM. Calculus. LCM. And write the equation. Bro is genius. Kakashi. Okay. The white ninja. Yeah, the gray hair ninja. What is the um, conventional current? No, not conventional current. What is the conventional spelling of authorization in token bearer? We will use that, whatever it is. A is capital here. It is capitalized as authorization. Shit, so which means we are messed up on the back end and the front end was right. Here, authorization A with capital A, and there is a request we send from here. This A should also be capital, then, and the handler on the back end also should be capital for on open. This might break. Shit, we are sending authorization, we are not sending author, we are sending, we when we make a socket connection token, we get the token which is being sent here like this. The token is being sent here in the URL path, game create plugin query. It gets from the query all of this stuff. This is built on top of we are getting user ID. We are not even getting user ID, we are getting the whole user. Wait, I don't understand. How is this working? Query. Shit. Okay, this is crazy. Here we are getting authorization token from the query parameter, and this same plugin is being used for every request. Does it mean we are using query parameter for all the auth requests? Crazy. Shit. White Fang was the father. Copy Ninja, yes. Kashi the Copy Ninja, and you are like very angry. It looks like it is over. No, it is not over. Like, no, it is never over. Until you are alive, it is like never over. Depends on how much prior knowledge. Complete noob. I reached 1200 in a month. Only questions per day. Like, bro, like, focus more on yourself. Mm, Asking other people will make you a bit sad. Okay, the thing is crazy. Shit. We will send the authorization token as header only when we want to establish a WebSocket, and for every other request we will send it as a header, not as a query parameter. Here, this thing should not be a query parameter, which is like very stupid. Auth plugin, auth query plugin, let's say auth query plugin, and there would be export and yep, we are like legit going to copy auth query plugin and auth header plugin. Cool. Here substitute query with headers, substitute query with headers, I think. Cool. And it just like works, no problem. After getting the token, here we, yeah, I guess making a new function is not worth it. This is good enough. So we have two handles. For game create plugin, we will use auth query plugin. Here, don't use this, use auth query plugin and import auth query plugin however you would. Cool. And here we would use auth headers plugin. Here use like legit use auth headers plugin. Okay. Adding things to the headers is cool. Payload, this is for login and stuff. Authorization with capital A. Cool. Undefined, everything is like undefined, nothing is defined anymore. Hello, how is it going? Undefined void. I'll fucking buy you both a pizza once I get to 60. Okay, I'm waiting. Shit, I will not eat till you buy me a pizza. I will be taking a fast. Mm, okay. Refresh. Internal server error. Okay. Internal server error. I will get kernel panic if this keeps happening. Internal server error. Why? In the pipeline, till where are we able to get? Where we are inputting auth headers. This console auth log headers. not headers, like we are getting headers, no problem with that. Console.log here, split it. And the hypothesis is that this thing is not right. Shit, refresh, and nothing on the back end, so we are not even getting till this point. We are not even getting till this point if headers is undefined. Right. If headers is undefined, okay, we are not printing anything still. Shit. Verify headers auth plugin, we are calling user data is being added. User data is this. My bad. Shit, it might be because shit, this might actually shit, yes, this actually is because of my stupidity. We had added extra path here, slash me path here, which does not do anything. And I guess if I were to here console.log hello, I would see hello from within shit, this might actually be it. Return no, no error. Shit, okay, shit. Still there is an internal server error. No error is error prone. There is some error. Or it may be because slash me route is defined by two different things. That is why we are getting error. Let's see. Slash user slash me. Now this one should work in theory. That is not in reality. Okay, internal server error. And we are not even seeing anything being printed before this handler runs, before this return statement runs. This plugin should be running, theoretically speaking, which should be printing this, at least here, if not headers, but at least here, which is also not being printed, which means, and this, wait, this is built on top of error plugin, which is just adding a on error handler to this, which is also not running, which means we are not throwing some error there. There is some like deeper problem. How to use access. Access is used for login. Then run game. Run game is for run game logic routes, and user data for slash user slash me. If we remove this, does not actually do anything, but let's see. Login 00 password at the rate 123. Internal server error. Forwarded login, but nothing happened here. And this is the token that we got. are printing the token. Wait, shit. This token is what we are printing, and this is being printed by this statement, print token, which means we do have a token, but then when we do this, uh, get stuff from this, we get error. Console.log route. Cool. Yep. Slash user slash me. I guess Postman would be more helpful. For it to be helpful, it should exist first of all. We can use hopscotch instead. We don't have to download hopscotch, so that is pretty cool. Yeah. Here, what is this? Ah, shit, yes. Freedom, capitalism. Colon slash localhost 2200 user slash me and network error. User create nothing, but the backend is running. Maybe HTTP is the way to go. And still nothing. Shit. Colon slash localhost colon 2222 slash user slash create or me. We are getting nothing, like legit nothing, not even 404 not found, even though the server is running here. Not use user data slash user slash create slash user slash login. At least that much should be working. Okay. Slash user slash login does not work, nothing works. And this thing is a like pure LEG object. This is not built on top of any plugin or anything. This should be working, but it is not working. We are getting none of the endpoints are hitting, which is crazy. None of the endpoints. Maybe I have to download and then use Postman. Hopscotch is not working even on the endpoints for which this is hitting, running. Install. That is how we download Postman. Download Postman. Cool. Pro knows the computer. That is pretty cool. Downloads. Okay. Hopscotch is not working. It should work though. localhost 2222. Is there something that we are missing which is causing problem? Which is causing problem? Dot resolve. Resolve is global. Cool. On error. Do we have to say like global or something here? As is a thing we could give. Shit. Okay. We can give as global here, which might actually be the like fix. Both of these things already are as global, and these are built on top of error plugin, which is cool. User info built on top of auth header plugin. uh, okay. Move this to 5 workspace 5. Ah, shit. I have to log in. It is logging in. Okay, okay. Okay, cool. Okay, new request would be cool. HTTP to user create. Okay, and 404 not found, which is much better than something else. Then like nothing found. This is much better. User slash create 404 not found. Shit, but even though this endpoint it does exist. What about login? Also not found. And if I were to do something crazy, cool, connection refused. This means that the server is running, which it is. Server is listening, but why is nothing working? Hypothesis is that some of the plugins are misfiring or short circuiting or something like that, and they are incompatible with each other because of that. One of these, like we are using these three things together. One of these is messing up with the other. This seems cool. Access seems cool. Game over also seems cool because it has nothing to do with anything else. It just does a WebSocket thing of its own and does not talk to anyone else. User data also is like a 5-line function. So this should be cool also. Okay. Error, true, message, code, not found. 404 user not found, which is much better. Shit. Now they are compatible with each other. Okay, things are coming together. 4 of internal server error. for user slash me, internal server error for user slash me. Okay, this thing is breaking the server whenever we hit this route. Okay, okay. Auth plugin, auth headers. We don't see headers. Don't see headers. Headers. We don't see this thing being printed. Even though this is the first thing that we should see being printed. If we remove dot use, what do we get? User is not there. That is fine. Don't worry. Internal server error. Shit. And the worst part about this is that there is no indication why is this error there. Access is working. Access is working. Access working. This is also cool. Maybe, just maybe, we have to say that these routes are global. As we don't have to say that these routes are global, they are global. And I guess this object comes later here. There are like bunch of keys we could give to this thing. This is messed up. What is all this? Let's create a like test route. Get dot slash test return. Let's go to test user slash test and we do not pass. Shit. Status. Who is returning this thing? This thing is being returned by a plugin. This one. Error and message. Error and message. Shit, but the status does not match. Status here is 404, 400, or rather, but here it is 404. Messages, code, and status, and error is maybe this is the thing. Console.log. Let's see. Send. Shit, nothing. Okay. Okay, we are passing now. Cool. We are passing. Which means this is running Fine, no problem. Once again, thing does not, yep, does not take in anything into account. Okay, user data button back, cool. User slash me, and error is true, message is empty, internal server error, which is much better. And we see this 404, we got error when we tried to split the token here. Error was throw new error. 500 internal server error. Right, shit. But why did we got this? Why was this function running? Auth plugin. Why was auth plugin running? This should not be running because auth plugin is not a dependency. Shit. Okay, that is messed up. That is messed up. That is messed up. Shit, 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 shit. Okay, I guess we should create two routers. Const no auth routers, no auth paths, and const auth paths. Paths which require authorization and paths which do not require any authorization. And we will group them separately and we will work with them like that. No auth path dot use access does not require any kind of authorization. All right. Const router new Elysia, and this thing router dot use no auth path before and then use auth paths and then export access right dot use access does not need any kind of authorization. Const auth paths new Elysia dot use game run does require authorization, and dot use user data also requires authorization. Paths which require authorization, which is like comment is not even needed here, it is in the name. Paths which don't. This might be the problem, I don't know, we'll have to see. Internal server error because we have to restart the server, makes sense. Run the server. Start. Cool. Okay, that was the problem. That was the problem. That was the problem. Path, path, auth, header, paths, header, auth. But I guess we will face problem. Yep, I guess we will still face problem here when starting a game. Yep, makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Yes. Headers, because there is two kind of authorization from header and authorization from query, and we are doing authorization from query when we are establishing a WebSocket connection, and doing authorization from headers normally for every other request. We do not want our token to go in as a query parameter. Hello. And you probably cannot use this because this is very unstructured. This is not very helpful. Look at this. I cannot even understand this after 15 days. So I think the best thing you can do is build something on your own. I don't think you can use what I'm building for yourself. But if you want to understand what I have written here, you can go through the code base, and if there is something you do not get, which is because I have not written this very cleanly, then you can ask me in the chat or in Discord, and that would be cool. Paths which use tokens in the headers, and then paths which use tokens in query parameters. Const auth query path equals new Elysia dot use game run, and here use like or first headers and then queries, but I guess this will still backfire. Probably this will still backfire. Let's see. Okay, cool, that is cool. Play. Yep, error is starting game. This did backfire. Yep, this did backfire because you're trying to get authorization from the headers. Ah, shit. There is only this singular place where we are using authorization. We can change the scope, yes, which makes sense. I think we can change the scope instead of for query paths for this thing, or not just for this thing, but for every auth plugin. There is this global scope, and I guess there is, apart from global, local, which I guess is the default, then a scope. What are the new other things we can give here as scope? This might work. Scoped. We do not want this plugin to just run wild. Cool, much better. 00 password, secret password, Error. Why is there an error? Cause okay, Thorfinn did log in. Then what is the error? Game slash run authorization and everything was sent, but error is starting game. Why websocket.ts new WebSocket? The request to create a new WebSocket was denied. Error. 5173. Go to home. Maybe. Shit. Data. Okay, pass again is messed up. Pass again is messed up. That is the whole data being sent. It's a lot more. Okay. Query. Query auth. Shit, we didn't see this headers running. This thing didn't run, which is sad. Query parameter should be scoped and not the other way around. This thing should be global, like wherever it is. Home. Okay, go to home. Pass again. Pass again. Pass again is cool. What do we see on the back end? We do not see anything on the back end, even though we have printed two things. So these two functions are not running. These two functions are not running. Their scope is messed up. Let's check scope. Scope level. Local. Okay. Child, current, parent. How do we send to parent? Scope is how we send to the parent. So scope should be working. This thing resolve as scope is working. Yeah, this resolve is. Global is fine. Global is fine for this one. Scope is fine. Use auth headers plugin dot get me user is something here. Return user name user dot username and user ID, maybe just in case, even though it is not needed, just in case. And we have to restart the server, and we see error, internal server error, server crashed. No auth query given in the query. Why are we checking authorization from the query? This is messed up. we got this error. No auth query in the given query. Auth query, even though why is auth query running does not make sense. Use header, thing runs auth headers and no authorization. Auth query. Auth query was printed, by the way. Just saying auth query was printed. But why is this running? Probably because I do not understand how this thing works. Descendants, by default, a plugin will apply a hook to itself and to its descendants only. A hook to itself and its descendants only, which is cool. As local value on before handle, run this thing, value based on the table provided below. Shit. By changing the type value, the result should be as follows. Okay, here we define this current plugin, you could say, and this child thing, and this, okay, current is the current generation, you could say, and child is child of this current, and parent is parent of this current, and main is the parent of the parent. So yeah, main. And we will see console.log hi from child and from current. From child because like it is legit defined in child. Whatever is defined here goes to all the use things here. Okay. And then parent. Parent. It does not go to the parent if it is local. It goes to the parent if it is scoped, and does not go to the parent if it is does not go to main if it is scoped. That is what we want. We have made this thing scoped. Shit. Shit. Okay. Shit. Okay. Makes so much sense. The problem is not because of the scope. The problem is because on this error plugin, we are importing the same error plugin thing, and we are adding these new hooks, resolve hook, on the same thing here for auth plugin. For this auth plugin, we import this error plugin and add this on resolve on top of this error plugin, and we do the same thing here for query parameter also. So we are adding the hooks which you want to keep separated on top of the same error plugin. So that is why we are seeing them together at places where we do not expect to see them together. And to solve this, we just create an Elysia instance and call .use error plugin on here, not user, but .use error plugin. And on this error plugin, we can say .global. Cool. .global here is shit. That was the problem. Shit. New Elysia. dot use this dot use the error plugin. Cool. And now I guess we can just remove all these console.logs and we should be happy. Happy as a man can be. Or maybe not. Shit. We are still getting an error. Though not on the back end, only on the front end. Which might indicate something. No. I think now we can even bunch up everything together. New Alicia dot use user data and dot use game run. Substitute headers setter with nothing. Auth paths. Auth paths. Error. Let's see how far are we going down. Auth header plugin. Auth header plugin built on top of this. Log headers. And we do see headers. Cool. We do see headers. That is very cool. Splitted. Stop. Restart. Undefined. Okay. Here we are checking for capital A, Authorition, and here the key is capital A. And this is the only, not the only, but one of the only requests where we are adding, where we are using a thing, where we are using a token. Okay. So why is this not going to the backend? Why is this thing empty? Headers, console.log headers. We do have authorization and it is a small case. I guess everything changes to small. There are big case letters, but they are inside a string, and the keys are all small case. Shit, that was the problem. We will use small case everywhere. Okay, just like to be consistent. Here also small case. Okay. Okay, that might actually wait. We have the data and the data says Thorfinn here. Cool. Let's log out manually. We have to log out manually. 2 hours long. Cool. Token delete key delete not the username. Okay, refresh. Cool. We have to log in again. Walrus 137 123 password. Shit, it was wrong. Token is empty. we should have seen user logged in or something, which means user did not log in. Again, internal server error on slash me is very messed up. Zero. Okay. And user didn't even log in. Now we are not even able to create a new account. Like, this thing does not exist. Why game create plugin scope as scope? This thing is returning user right here using a resolve. So it should be available to the father or to the parent here. User ID might be undefined. Anything can be undefined. Shit, no, it is not undefined. Okay, before continuing, I will go to the washroom and I will be right back in 1 minute. Yep, wait. Yep, I'll be right back. I am back. Shit, you were able to hear the audio. I disabled my Mac OS audio. Okay, which is crazy. Guess I will be stopping the stream now because I want to listen to music while programming. It is much better. This is getting unbearable by the time. Okay, and the thing that we are trying to fix here is very simple. It is that now more things are broken up, so it is not, I won't be able to show you what is the exact thing which we were trying to fix. But the thing was, when a game starts, you are able to see the name of the opponent and not your own name, because there is a request which is sent to the backend to this point, to this API slash user slash me, and which should send this. This is like very basic thing, very basic thing. This happens all the time. And this thing is using this auth header plugin. And yep, auth header plugin, which verifies that the user is logged in by taking in the token from the user's header. And cool, yep, get the token, and yep, get user, add user to context, add user to context. But the problem that we are facing right now is somehow not use, somehow uh, there are two kinds of authorization. One is through header. The token is sent by the header, and the other is by query. The token is sent in as a query parameter. But both of them are running at the same time, which they should not. So, yeah, I guess that would be it for today. We will continue tomorrow, and that would be cool. So, that would be it for today's stream, and thank you for being here. Bye.